Testing 1 2 3. Testing. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about my 2023 temperature blanket that I made. So I actually haven't finished it as of right now. I'm working through, I think, October. So yeah, that's what's going on, but I already know what I want to talk about. So for the year of 2023, I decided I was going to be making a temperature blanket, but I didn't want to do it how everybody else did it, where they did like rows. So like where they just did one row of color, and I also didn't want it to where it was only the average temperature, because in my brain, if I only did the average temperature, that was less color, instead of thinking I could make the like blocks of my color separation smaller, like my temperature differences smaller. But anyway, I made up a lovely little key, and I'm going to go through this and then I'm going to explain how I started making it. So I have 23 temperature blanket. At the top we have 105 degrees to 94 degrees as rosy cheeks, 93 degrees to 82 degrees as light peach, 81 degrees to 70 degrees as cream, 69 degrees to 58 degrees as light sage, 57 degrees to 42 degrees is spa, 42 degrees to 34 degrees is sea blue, 45 degrees, sorry, I don't know what I said, 45 degrees to 34 degrees is sea blue, 33 degrees to 22 degrees is stonewash, and then 21 degrees to 10 degrees is orchid. And this is my filler color, and I'll get into what I mean by filler color. So I actually never ended up using this purple color, which kind of sucks, but it's whatever. So yeah, there was my little key. So what I decided to do is for every single day, I was going to do one granny square. And it was just going to be 2 rows, so it wasn't going to be in a big one or anything. And so what I did is I made this middle color is my lowest temperature, and this outside color is my highest temperature. And that is what I decided to do for all of them. So I had to make up a little thingy explaining how I was going to do it. So at the top we have all of the colors again, and then I'm using a size J 5.75 millimeter hook. Right here I say filler colors linen, and this blanket is going to be 378 squares, 18 by 21 squares. That was like the closest I could get to like having it proper. And as you can tell, 378, that's not how many days we have. I'm going to have some extra squares. So I have 13 filler squares, meaning they're just the plain white linen color, and those separate each of the months. So what I did is whenever I finished a month, I'd sew in one of those squares. And I like have it here. It says 13 filler squares divides months. And there's also one at the beginning and one at the end. How I decided to do the blanket is I was going to sew it corner to corner. So I started in the bottom left corner and I worked my way up, and this is going to be the end of it, December. One granny square is 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. I don't remember what that worked up to be in size. Okay, I just did the calculations, and it is going to be 45 inches by 52.5 inches, or 3.75 feet by 4.38 feet. Some of the pros and cons, I'd say, or like what I do differently. So, next year, and by next year I mean not 2024. What I might do is I think I'm gonna do a temperature blanket of like my school year, because it'll be my freshman year in college, rather than like a whole like January to December. It would be like September to September, or whenever I go back and leave, but not September to September, September to May. Something I decided to do that I forgot to mention is that I'm gonna do a border around the entire blanket. I did not do a border around each of the individual squares. So next year, what I'll do differently is I'm gonna do more color. So like instead of there being, I think it's 11 temperatures, like 11 different temperatures per one, it'll be like 5 or 6 or something like that, just to have more color. And then I'm also going to do a more vibrant color scheme, I think. Yeah. I just dropped a bunch of my stitch markers all over the ground. Anyway, okay. So the reason for the vibrant color scheme isn't necessarily anything specific. It's just I want a different color set than what I had. And another thing I would definitely do differently is or I mean, I've already said that I would do shorter temperature ranges, but another reason for that is because I had to go and like rebuy some of the yarn that I used because I ran out, and I did not anticipate running out, even though I bought one skein of each, which should have been an indicator, but I thought since I had a wide enough range that it was going to be okay. I also thought I would be getting down to like 21 degrees, which did not happen this year, but apparently is going to happen in 2024. But yeah, so I had to go back and like rebuy the cream color, the light sage color. I had to rebuy Spa, not because I ran out of the original color, but because I lost it when I went on a trip and took it with me. I also lost my scissors on that trip, so I don't know what happened. But anyway, let me show you the temperature blanket. I'm just gonna show a little snippet. So let me show this right here. This little corner is December. And how I decided to do it is like this is gonna be my bottom left corner. And it went like, I think it went like this and then that way. So like this is December 1st, December 2nd, and then it like snakes. It goes like that. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and like that, and so on. So yeah, I think that's how it goes. I can't remember exactly, but I can check the temperatures actually. Yeah. So another thing I did in this lovely little booklet that I had all the info in is I tracked every single day of temperatures, just so I had something physical. I have screenshots of all of the temperatures, like, in my phone, but not, anywhere else. Or, oh my gosh. I mean, I also have them like screenshotted on my phone, but they don't have like what color they are. But these do. So I put the date, I put the high temperature, the low temperature, and then the color correspondence of the high temperature and the low temperature. And then this is a little check mark saying it has been completely sewed on. Not that it's been crocheted up, not that it's so the ends have been sewed in, that it is like on the blanket. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through and show. The little like squiggly dividers are for the months. So I know that there's a blank square there, and each month has a different like color. I hope that's not like hitting the mic. Let me move the mic up. It's kind of hard to do, so bear with me. Okay, y'all don't really need to see the whole thing. Y'all kind of get the gist. It's like day. And mind you, at the beginning of the year, I was like on top of it for like January. Every single day, I was doing that square that night before the temperatures were even finalized, but they were like close enough. But then it started going to where I would do it every week, and then every 2 weeks. And then it got to the point where I was like doing whole months. And then it was around August, whenever school started back, for my senior year, that I just stopped doing it. So I can't remember where it was exactly, but it was somewhere in August. I just completely, I think it was the beginning of August, I stopped doing them. And then at the very end of this year, I picked it back up and started working. And as you can see right here, September 19th is where I haven't sewed in. And written out, I have all the way, sorry, I had to change colors for this pen ran out. I have all the way until the end of October, and that's all I have like written. And what I have done is barely any of it. So that's what I've been doing. But I've been working on it as best I could. I did as many squares that didn't have spa. Well, I didn't do all of them, but I started working on squares that didn't have the spa color because I just bought this yesterday along with a bunch of other stuff. You know me. But yeah. So I kind of have a lot going on with this, and I'm noticing some of my ends aren't weaved in, which is weird considering I weaved in all ends. A little heads up if you're going to be doing this blanket. It is a essential that you weave in ends. Just because I had this square right here, which is literally January 1st, come apart as I was like making the blanket. The little end slipped out and it started just coming apart, so I had to like tie it back together. Hello, I'm back again to yap. So it's the next day. I haven't really worked on it. I finished all of the squares up until October. I just haven't sewed them on. They're just kind of sitting up there. But I know I already said this in like literally the last clip, but what I meant by it is essential to weave in your ends, I meant like as you go, and do it securely. Don't do like the carrying it over like you need to weave them babies in. Weave them in, or they will come out. And it's not going to be fun to weave them back in when you should have just went ahead and done it properly the first time. So, weave in your ends, people. Also, I'm going to show the blanket right now. There's your sneak peek. So you can see there's a whole lot of yellow and a whole lot of orange. I don't like that. Hence why I've decided to start, when I do the next one, do a wider color range. A little bit on how I made it. So this is January over here in this corner right here. Here we have January. And as I said, I did a zigzag pattern. So like it went here, then it zigzags all the way up and down, across, whatnot. And in between each month, I have this white color. These are two that just happen to land right beside each other, but yeah. A little bit on how I sewed them in. So initially, I started by doing the color that was like right beside it. So like right here, I have the linen color. Right here, I used the cream color because it was 2 squares of cream. And then it got to about end of January, or no, like end of February, where I started to just use the linen color. And at this point, I was doing the invisible blanket stitch, I think it's called, where you weave in like you have 2 squares and you lay them flat and you go like in. I don't remember. I can't explain it. But it was supposed to be like invisible, like you can see the stitching is invisible. But that was like the most time consuming stitch I could have chosen. So eventually I stopped using colors that matched and just went with the linen, and then I stopped doing that stitch entirely and instead just did where you put one square over the other and just started like looping in and out, like a over the top kind of thing, which makes them visible. Like you can see the linen in this. It's not very noticeable since it's white, and I don't have a problem with it. To be honest, I don't have a problem with it at all. But yeah, I just thought I'd point that out. And another thing I did is when I first started doing it, I would like cut it off at both ends. So then I would have to weave in the ends of the square and the ends of when I sewed in that singular square. I stopped doing that, and instead I do long pieces of the linen and I just keep it on there. See how this one's just attached and I have my little needle at the end. So yeah, that's just what I did instead, and it's also a great way for me to keep up to where I am. I don't have to worry about losing my spot and doing it wrong. And then whenever I have to add a new color, I literally just like double knot it on and then I sew over that. Because I believe double knotting is a very reliable way to put yarn together. Okay, I'm a strong believer in the double knotting. That's what this is. And even on some projects, I put super glue on it. Not for wearables or for anything I give away. But if it's just for me and I need that thing to stick, it's getting some super glue. Anyway, that was off topic. But yeah, I just have to sew in squares, which is honestly the worst part. I hate sewing in squares. It takes me, I think it was about 4 minutes. I timed it one time. 4 minutes to sew in one square. I could have sewed in 1.5 squares in the time I've taken to make this little segment, but I'm not about that. That's actually a good idea, because this actually has a clip on it, where I can just like, I don't know how clip works. I don't know if it'll pick up from down here. I guess that's kind of what it's supposed to do. Holding it like a mini microphone. It's fun. A little thing on the border that I didn't go into that much. Once this is done, I'm gonna do a big border around the whole thing. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do like a reverse rainbow since my colors go in rainbow order. I'm gonna start with purple and do purple, and then I'll do blue and stuff. And I'm gonna use up as much as I can and make it look good, and then I'll just go through each color and do it. And then something I'm hoping to do, which I might just do the purple, and then I want to do scallops of like each color. So like do purple, then the blue, other blue, green, like that. And I think that would look really cute. And it would look so cute if it worked. So I hope it does, because I'm going to try to do that. And I'll just do like a carrying yarn technique. And yes, that would be a lot of yarns to carry. That would be, I don't even remember how many colors I did. Anyway, but yeah, so that's one of my ideas. Another thing I'm gonna do when I finish is I'm going to put like a 2, a 0, a 2, and a 3 on some of the linen squares or the filler squares throughout. So like the 2 is going to be up in the top corner where it ended. The 0 is going to be somewhere in the middle. The 2 is going to be somewhere in lower middle. And then the 3, like the 3 is going to be in this corner right here. And I'm just going to stitch it on top, or I'm going to make it and then sew it on. I don't know what I'm going to do just yet. Okay, so it is currently January 16th? I don't know. I'll put the thing somewhere. Anyway. So yeah. It's whenever I just said, and I have completed all of the squares for the blanket. Let me give you a little look-see. Gotta be careful with this thing because it makes a lot of noise. It's like so that is the rest of what I have to sew on. I've already started working through November, and I've already sewed up to November 8th. And I think I've started November 9th. But yeah, so that's exciting. I'm almost done. My needle's somewhere in there, but yeah. So I just have to finish sewing all of the squares. I have 50. I have my brain not think 53 more to go. It takes 4 minutes to sew on each square, and I'm gonna do like a little how long it took me at the end. It's not gonna be exact. It's just gonna be a general measurement, because what I did is I timed how long it took me to make one square. I timed how long it took me to sew on one, and I timed how long it took me to sew in the ends of one. And of course, some of them that doesn't apply to, and some of them it took me less sewing time because it was like where I only had to sew one side. But I'm just giving a general estimate, and y'all, whew, those numbers, and that's not even including the border I'm gonna do that I've already talked about. But yeah, so, oh, and guess what? I was talking about how I was upset that I did the temperature blanket this year, or how I did the temperature blanket of 2023, because in 2024, guess what? It is 16 degrees right now. So I could have used the purple had I made a temperature blanket of 2024, which sucks, but it's okay. My sisters told me to start making one, so who knows? Maybe I'll go blow my next paycheck on some yarn for that. But I would have to get so much more than I did this time because I said I wanted to widen or smallin the temperature blocks. I don't know why I keep calling them blocks. Temperature ranges. I have finished sewing on all of the squares. So let me just find the bottom. Okay, I did a little bit of miscalculating. So the end has 2 white squares beside one another. That wasn't supposed to be right, but is it? I can't even like, ta-da. It's huge. And I have to sew in all of the ends. Not for the squares, just for where I like sewed them. And then I have to do the border and then I'm done. So it is currently January 19th and I've been working on the border. So I don't remember what I showed last, but I finished the little single crochet of the linen color around. I don't know if I showed it. And then I went ahead and went around in a double crochet of the purple just because I really wanted to include it into the blanket. So there's that. And now I am venturing into the very scary and very intimidating part of the scallops, the multicolored scallops I decided to do. So I have all 8 colors connected to my blanket. But it looks so cool. Look how pretty that is. Like, are you kidding me? These are just some loose ends from me adding the yarn on, but yeah. This is my carrying trail. And every few minutes I have to like flip the whole blanket around and unravel it or move around the skeins. I don't know what else to do. So, to fix that. So, yeah. A little annoying thing I just noticed is for some reason my corner is just like flopping. I don't know how to fix it or how to go about making it less warpy. So I think I'm just not gonna deal with it. Like, look at it. It's just, why is it pointing? Why is it doing that? Maybe it just needs some good old stretching. I apologize for the heater running in the background. It is freezing in my house, but it is now time to cut this off. So what I did is it ended up where this was right beside each other, and I did not want to do another of this color to end it because then it would be like kind of a pattern look, and I didn't want that. So I just put a white here and I snipped off the white, and we're about to snip off this gigantic tail. So I don't know how to go about videoing it, so just bear with me. Yay! Now it's time to just weave in some of the ends, some of the ones that are poking out from some of the squares, and I'm done. All done. All 378 squares, and along with the scalloped border, which curls like that, because there's too many stitches for how it should be. But I actually quite like it, so I'm going to leave it. So yeah. Okay, so I just did all of the calculations for how long this took me, so I'm going to do a little breakdown. So it took me 2 minutes and 42 seconds to make a square. That is a total of 121 minutes roughly, which equates to 17 hours. And then to sew in the ends of those squares, it took me a minute and 15 seconds, which was roughly a total of 347 minutes and 30 seconds. And that equates to roughly 5 hours and roughly 5.8 hours. And to sew that square onto the blanket, it took me 4 minutes. So it took me a total of 512 minutes, which equates to 25.2 hours. So yeah, a lot of hours, okay? And then the border, I didn't actually time, but my border is single crochets all around, and then double crochets all around, and then the scallop stitch all around. So I estimated around 16 hours for that. That might be overkill. I don't really know how to figure out if the proper time. Like, I really could sit there and do it and then time it, but I really don't feel like it. So I'm just going to go with 16 hours because that's a ballpark. So when we add all of those lovely numbers together, we get a total of 64 hours. 64 hours. Isn't that mental? Like, that is almost 3 whole days. So yeah, that is how long it took me. But I'm happy to say that it's done. It has been fun, and I'm glad that I did it. And I will be doing it again. Not this year. Oh, I just realized I'm not finished with the blanket yet. Um, I said it in one of these things that I said I was going to put 2023 on the squares. I still have to do that. So, let me do that and I will be back to show the final blanket after showing it so many times. But yeah, I'm basically done. Okay, now I am officially done. So, I added 2023 in purple, which it doesn't show up very much, but that's kind of the point. It was just supposed to blend in. So in the top left corner, we have the 2, and then a little bit farther down the blanket, we have the 0, and then a little bit farther down, we have the other 2. Kind of hard to see, but there's the other 2. Then at the very bottom corner, we have the 3. Again, kind of hard to see, but also kind of the point. So yeah, that completes the full blanket. It's super warm, and I love it. And you should definitely make one. If you're thinking about making one, do it. Doesn't matter if we're already partway into 2024. Just go back and look it up. I have there's one website I specifically use that I can put in the description that I love to get my temperatures from when I missed a while, because I missed a lot. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for coming along with my journey.